I want to do an honest owner review after 1 year of ownership, 15,000 miles, why I bought it, what I love about it, what I hate about it, and what my final thoughts are. Alright, let's go for a ride and talk about it. I'm coming from a BMW GS Adventure before I bought this bike. I didn't ride a bunch of trails until I got to Vegas, and I started riding trails on the GS Adventure, and was like, man, I want something a little more capable, a little easier to get around the trails off-road with. So that's why I bought the KTM 790 Adventure R. I wanted something more capable off-road. And it's definitely more capable off-road. Probably the most capable adventure bike off-road there is. But I want to get into what I love about this bike and what I hate about it. I did another video, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the KTM 790, and I went over a lot of stuff in that. But on this one, I'm really going to focus on the main issues that I really like and I really dislike. What I love about the KTM 790 Adventure R is like the whole riding experience. The whole riding experience is phenomenal on this bike. From the balance of the bike, to the power of the bike, to the capability off-road, the suspension, it just goes on and on and on. I always talk about this bike has a lot of spirit, and KTMs have a lot of spirit. They definitely have spirit. They get up and go. They have power. They have plenty of power, and it's got plenty of go. It's just very spirited for an 800 cc. Like, I don't find it lacking power on the road compared to the GS Adventure. I can't do exactly the same things. Like on the GS, you can be in 6th gear and just twist the throttle and it'll go. On this, I might have to downshift, but I have plenty of power to get out of situations by speeding up or overtaking. It's like, it's really phenomenal power on the road. Pretty nice as far as power on the road. Let me talk about the balance a little bit. The balance is phenomenal. It has these lowered fuel tanks that hang off the side, almost saddle over the side, and it really lowers the weight, balances the weight lower center of gravity. You can really tell it's a big factor in the balance of this bike. If you look at KTMs, like, I really love the tanks, and I say everything is going to be like that. KTM started it, but if you look at Honda Dakar bikes, their 450 Honda Rallies, they're running the same style tanks. The saddle tanks that come over the engine. It really helps with the weight. It doesn't make it feel top heavy. This bike is very nimble. It turns in real nice. It's easy to balance, slow. Like, the riding experience, as far as balance, the way it feels is excellent. And how it rides on the street is good. It feels good. It feels good to ride. It feels good to sit on. I don't feel overworked, overstretched, any of that stuff really. I can do 1,000 miles in a day on this bike. The ergonomics are comfortable enough for that. The other thing that like makes this riding experience is like it's so capable off-road. This bike is so capable off-road. 800cc motorcycle on the road, but then it actually handles pretty good off-road. Like, that's a big deal. The capability off-road is pretty nice. The 21-inch front wheel, the suspensions is probably the best suspended adventure bike. They just have to accommodate so many people with the suspension, so like it is stiff, and people complain that it's too stiff. And I would agree with that. Even when you do soften it up, it's still stiff. But I'd rather have it too stiff than too soft. It doesn't matter what kind of dirt bike you ride, it seems like you gotta adjust the suspension. At least that seems that way for me. And I fit into the stock weight classes and stuff, so size and weight classes. I was able to get into a lot more off-road stuff because it's just more capable. It will get me into more trouble if I'm by myself. The other thing is like the way it shifts. This shifter is like, whether you have the quick shifter or you just do it the old-fashioned way, this thing shifts like smooth as butter. It really does. Do I miss shifts or any of that kind of stuff? Sure, I do, but man, for the most part, this baby shifts smooth. I can't go on enough about the riding experience. I love the whole riding experience with this bike. Just the way it feels, the power it has, the way it handles, the way it performs. It makes me happy. It's why people like KTMs. Now I'm going to talk about what I hate about this bike, and this is why people don't like KTMs. The biggest thing that I hate about this bike is the reliability. I haven't had a bunch of problems with this bike, but I know a lot of people have, and all you gotta do is search online. You'll see there's plenty of stuff that goes wrong with this bike. From the rear shocks to the clutch to just all kinds of stuff, on and on and on. Like, I didn't have a lot of trouble with it. I had some screws come loose on the chain guide. It caused it to break the shift lever. So I was stranded one time on the trail because the shift lever just was broken and I couldn't shift. And it's not a big deal. A couple screws loose, but 7 weeks at the dealer, they didn't do nothing about it because they said they're waiting on parts, and it's like, come on. They could have fixed it. So I had to tow it out of there, get it fixed myself. Ordered parts from Rocky Mountain ATV. Wasn't even $100 worth of parts, and I had it fixed in no time. I don't think you should get a bike, pay 15 grand for a motorcycle, and have screws coming out of it in less than 500 miles. That's craziness. And I hear a lot of people on these KTMs say the same shit. A lot of people complain about loose screws from the factory. And other guys will be like, just get you a 12-pack of beer and some thread lock and sit down, tighten everything up. Okay, like, I guess everybody's got time for that when you buy a new bike. I don't think that's acceptable. Do you have to do that with a KTM? Well, yeah, that's part of owning a KTM, but that's not acceptable. Not in my eyes. Not for 15 grand. So, even though I haven't had big reliability issues, it's still a huge concern and it's still a worry, even though I've been fortunate so far. Because there's so many people out there that complain about the same stuff. You worry about it even if you don't have trouble. So it's always a concern. I go to Baja and I'm worried that, like, I hope I don't break down in Baja, you know? This is definitely not a around the world bike. To me, there's just too much stuff that goes wrong with it. It's a huge concern. I've been fortunate, but you still worry about it all the time. All the time. The other thing I really hate about it is the dealership. The customer service sucks. I know there's some good KTM dealers in the United States, but the one that's here in Vegas is crap. Crapola. And, like, I'm not the only one that's having these experiences, because I hear people complaining, lots of people complain about the same things. Poor customer service. They take their bike there and it ends up needing more work than it did when it went in. And that's what they did with mine. I took mine in for service and then now my quick shifter doesn't work. And then they tell me, oh, you got to bring it back and drop it off. I don't want to drop my bike off for a software fix. Like, come on, dude. The KTM dealer in Vegas sucks. The problem is there's only one KTM dealer in an area, right? In each big major city, and it's like, come on. I know BMW does that too, and some dealers do it, but if I want to get my bike fixed at a KTM dealer, I have to leave Vegas. It's 100 miles to St. George or down Arizona. And that just sucks. That's shit. Basically, if you have good performance and shitty reliability, I still might buy in if you got good customer service, right? At least I know if something happens, I'll be able to get it fixed. But when you got shitty reliability and shitty customer service, like, I don't want to invest in that. That's no bueno. And those are two huge factors, right? They're huge factors that are bad. She rips. That's what you love about it. What you hate about it is if it breaks. Ain't got time to be waiting at no lights. The other huge thing I don't like is this bike is really wide at the seat. Right where your legs go, it's really wide. The bike is already tall in the first place. It just makes it that much harder to ride. And I have the low seat on. I'm 5'9" with a 31-inch inseam, so I'm not short. And like this bike, even with a low seat, I cannot flat foot it. I can only put 1 foot flat. People are like, oh, you're not riding 1-footed. You can't do that. It's like, I know how to do that. I have a dirt bike. I can do it all day long. And the dirt bike is taller than this bike. On the street, where everything's solid and good grip and level, it's easy to do the 1 foot thing. It's another to do it off-road and uneven terrain and thick sand and stuff, because it's a 500-pound bike, and trying to hold it up on your tiptoes in sand isn't the easiest thing in the world to do. It's hard to do on this bike because it weighs 500 pounds. That's why. And when it's wide down here in the seat, it just makes it that much harder. I don't know for sure, but from my understanding, they narrowed the 890. It's not the same as doing it on the street. I can do it on the street all day long, because that distance to my foot to the ground is the same all the time on the road. I think those are the things I hate the most about the KTM 790. I don't regret buying it. It's taught me a lot. I've learned a lot owning this motorcycle. And I've learned a lot about adventure bikes and adventure riding and riding adventure bikes off-road on this bike, because it's a pretty awesome machine. It is more capable off-road than the BMW GS Adventure. Performance-wise, it's excellent. It's just, what I've learned is, like, this is still a big bike. This is still a big adventure bike. Even though I can get into more stuff and go further off-road with this bike than the BMW GS Adventure, it still fits into the same category as the BMW GS Adventure, which is, it's a huge adventure bike, and it's mostly for the street. And if you do ride any off-road, it's pretty much gravel and like fire roads and easy adventure off-road riding, which is minimal stuff. And I know people will argue that, and they can argue it all they want, but even if you're 6'4", 230, 22 years old, it's still a big bike off-road. It's 500 pounds. It's 470 plus some stuff added on, you're over 500. BMW GS R1250 is 550 pounds. And a GS Adventure is 590 pounds. So, I mean, it's still a big, heavy bike for an off-road bike. The 750 800cc's is the perfect size for the highway. It gives you power to get in and out of situations without just having to slow down all the time. If I see something, I'm able to speed up and get around it. And that's what you need on the highway. That's what I need. I want to do 85, 90 on the highway. And this bike will top out at 120. A BMW GS Adventure tops out at 120. So you're still in the same park. And I don't feel like I miss a lot of the power. I just don't. I don't miss the power because it's minimal. The power difference is minimal, just because this one has so much spirit. I've also learned that there's no one ideal motorcycle. Because for me to be a good street bike, highway bike, I need the 750 800cc's. That's usually a parallel twin. And then what happens is it makes that too heavy for anything off-road solo. A 500-pound bike off-road solo is like, you shouldn't be doing it. I shouldn't be doing it. It's not safe to do. I don't recommend going, solo off-road with a 500-pound bike. So that's the break right there, right? Like, to have decent on-road ability, it's going to be too heavy off-road. Anything over 400 pounds is too heavy for off-road. And people will say, oh, Itchy Boots, you're just tiny. You're not strong enough. You need to work out. You need to carry less weight. I don't carry a bunch of weight. I'm lucky if I carry 50 pounds of gear. It's just, to have a really effective off-road motorcycle, it needs to be under 300 pounds. The Honda CB500X, it's 430 pounds. By the time you put stuff on it, it's 450. That's still a heavy bike off-road to be riding solo. And then it's really doesn't give you, it's capable on the highway, but it's not really giving you a lot of options on the highway. Throttle up and go around stuff. So what I did learn is there's no unicorn motorcycle, because what's good on the highway, or what I need on the highway, isn't gonna work for me off-road. It's just not ideal. It's too heavy off-road, too slow on-road. So with that said, my whole idea of what I need in a motorcycle is changing. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to sell this bike. I'm over KTM. I'm going to sell this bike. What am I going to get? I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. I'm not going to try to have one bike do everything, you know. So what's my final thoughts and conclusions on this bike? It's a great bike. The reliability scares me. I have issues with it. And the customer service, like, just makes me not want to even risk it. So what am I going to do? I'm going to sell this bike. I'm going to sell this bike before something breaks and I have to put money into it. I'm moving on from KTM. As far as big bikes go, I feel like the little bikes, like the Husky, which is KTM, I feel like I can maintenance those and manage those better. These big bikes, I just don't want, you know, going on long trips, I don't want to, for right now. I say that, but as of right now, that's how I feel. I am going to sell this thing. I don't know what I'm going to get. I haven't decided. I don't know what to replace it with. I'm still researching, but I know I'm not going to keep this bike. KTM's high maintenance. And you got to do a lot of things to it and keep a close eye on it all the time. Well, I don't think the maintenance schedule's too high. What I think the problem is everything in between the maintenance schedule. I hope you like my honest owner review of the KTM 790 after 1 year ownership, 14,000 miles. I don't regret the experience. I'm glad I got to experience it. I learned a lot from experiencing it and more idea, you know, what I want, where I want to be. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. Appreciate all the support. You guys are awesome. And I'll see you guys on the next video where we discuss what motorcycle I should get next. Anyway, see ya. Peace out.